Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Recruit Military Live, where we will be discussing how to boost your hiring power with Recruit Military. As always, my name is Gabby Petticrew, and I am joined today by my amazing, fabulous co-host, Raul Torres. How's it going, Raul?
Hey, Gabby, it's going great. End of summer is here. It's nearing. We're winding down. But today we have an amazing show for everyone tuned in. And one of our guests today is actually the senior military recruiter at Lineage. She holds a bachelor's degree from Central Michigan University and has over 10 years of experience in recruiting. Over the past 3 years, she's been a key contributor at Lineage, where she led the creation of a military recruiting program, and her expertise lies in the strategic talent acquisition and program development. Without further ado, please join us in welcoming Christie Music. Welcome, Christie. How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
We cannot complain. It is a fantastic day.
Thank you so much for joining us, Christie. It's going to be an awesome show. And along with Christie, we have a second guest who is a military veteran and relations manager with Sonepar USA, a U.S. Army retiree, an Army spouse, an Army dad, and most important, an Army grandpa. He's certified associate in project management and a certified diversity and inclusion recruiter with a passion for creating inclusive and supportive work environments for military affiliated employees. Please join me in also welcoming Chris Miles. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. And I love that you included Army grandpa. That's like, I think reaching, like grandpa status. Once your kids start having kids, it's a whole other level, right?
It changes your life. You just don't realize.
Oh, well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And as Raul mentioned, this is a very special episode of Recruit Military Live today, because I think this is one of the first times we've had not only one, but two clients of ours join the show and give their perspective on their experience with Recruit Military. It's one thing for us to try and bring exposure to the resources that we have for the military community, but it's a whole other perspective to get to hear from clients and their success stories with Recruit Military. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
And if we wanted to start off today's show, can you each take turns and give us a bit of background on your history with Recruit Military, like when you joined and what resources, what tools you've utilized within Recruit Military?
Absolutely. So here with Lineage, we have been working on hiring within the military community for the past few years, and we dabbled a little in my early time here and attended a few events. It wasn't until September of last year that we really dove in as an RMS Squared partner and decided that we were going to go full force on this. We transitioned my role that was kind of running a dual regional recruiting position with the military part, and transitioned me fully over to really dig into this. And we have been running full force with it since then.
And Christie, can you give us a bit more background on your role and what all you've accomplished during your role with Lineage as well?
Absolutely. So I serve as the senior military recruiter here. I do all of the logistics of which events we're going to, which of our recruiters throughout the country will be attending those. I attend ones that no one's near myself. So I get to travel to the places that no one lives by or no one wants to go to. Like Kansas was a perfect example. I don't have any recruiters that sit in the area, but we have 3 buildings that are right there. So I kind of serve as the program coordinator for all of that and make sure that things are kind of running smoothly. I do all of the initial follow-ups for any of our military candidates and help kind of transition those to the recruiters that run those areas, to the hiring managers that would make those hiring decisions. Mm-hmm. And then I help track any of the military hires that we've had. As of this morning, I pulled the report today. We have hired 147 military personnel this year.
I wish we had like little emojis that were able to do like hand claps on the screen. That's phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing that, Christie. Absolutely. And over to you, Chris. Same thing, some history within Recruit Military as well. And then your role also and background with Sonepar.
Yeah, so my background started with Recruit Military as a veteran transition out of the military and then coming to Recruit Military events, actually looking for a job. And then as I came on board, I actually started with ADP. Came on board, automated data processing, came on board as an account manager, and then transitioned into the RPO recruiting space. And then Bell Tire used to be one of my clients I used to attend Recruit Military events with, and assisted with a few other clients as well. So I looked at building up a program about 2.5 years ago. Sonepar reached out and started talking about building out a military program. Immediately as I built up my presentation for how I could run a military program for an organization, immediately I put Recruit Military, the RMS Squared program, as one of those building blocks for us to take and build our foundation off of. So we've attended over 186 events over the last 2.5 years. A ton of virtual for our organization. Where I work a little bit differently, once I take and reach out, find a veteran that we're military spouse, don't want to take and exclude those. As we take and move on to our organization structure, I reach out to our recruiters within our organization with over our 20 brands that we have across the country. We're in 50 different states, so I have to reach out to our recruiters and to our hiring managers inside those locations and then build out those relationships. So while the applicant still does take and apply and they're sitting in the applicant tracking system, I'm also forwarding that profile to our hiring managers and to our recruiters to make sure we take and get them in place and make sure that we take and move that candidate and hopefully we can take and make them associates inside the organization. We were thrilled this year with DAV, Disabled American Veterans. We actually received the Veteran Hiring Award this year through DAV by working with the Recruit Military at our events nationwide.
And I just wanted to point that out. Hey, for all the job seekers that are listening, everyone that's about to go to one of our job fairs, exactly what Chris says, right? I know every company works different, but if you network and talk to all who you can talk to, it's not only apply online and keep it moving. We are making sure that our clients, people, the companies that we are working with, make sure that they understand that we want veterans and spouses in the military community in these jobs. So they're doing everything they can besides having you apply online. Everything's getting pushed up the chains. It's really just about communication and relationships. And I do want to ask, I know you've both had like major success at our events, but I wanted to ask, like, as an event director, being boots on the ground, like, how do the events run for you both? Like, how do you feel about them?
I absolutely love the way they run. I love the QR codes that we get. It gives us instant access to all of their information. It helps tailor that conversation to, I'm not having to seek all that information. I have it right in front of me. You know, great. I see you're a logistics specialist. Perfect. That's exactly what we do. And it really helps kind of move that conversation along and gets us to the meat and potatoes of the conversation rather than having to pick around the edges.
Absolutely.
And for Christy and Chris, I know, and then also just as a reminder, we have, for anyone listening, whether you're a future client, an employer, or a candidate / job seeker, please feel free to ask questions, especially during this live, because you have not only the perspective, you know, for employers on what questions to ask, what resources that these very successful employers are utilizing, but also from the candidate perspective, like, what are you looking for? What can I do to make a difference? And one thing that, you know, getting to know Christy and Chris during previous calls is how engaging and interactive they are at our events, at our job fairs. And that's one thing that I love for y'all to touch on, because it's one thing to be like, oh, the job fairs are amazing, but it's a whole other thing to be that employer that takes that, you know, initiative, that has those conversations, that ask the important questions. And most importantly, I think, Chris, you know, harped on this quite a bit, which it should be harped on, is you come into the job fairs with a battle plan. And please go into that, because I'll probably slaughter it. Please tell us more about your battle plan.
So if I'm going to use the Baltimore event that's coming up on 22 August as a great example, I reached out to our Capital Electric team, talked with Brendan, the president of Capital Electric, and Anthony, distribution center manager in Upper Marlboro. And so we actually start our Recruit Military event next Monday. So we actually have the Maryland Development Center coming, take and energize the state, and push all those jobs out. Started 2 days ago. So all of our roles across Maryland, Virginia for the entire network are already pushed out. We'll have a 2-day on-site for anybody that wants to come in and visit. Then we'll have the career fair on the 22nd. However, that career fair time period for me won't end for a week because it's about the marketing. It's about sitting down, making sure that you guys are aware of the roles. We publish those out. We send the thank you messages, and then our recruiters do the follow-up for those roles. And then hopefully by the time we have Thursday to that following week, we already have candidates coming in interviewing. And then with another week, we have associates that are tied to Sonepar. I think it's important for the events to actually get to the event. I get to just about every event the minute the doors are open. Sometimes you guys are still putting up the signs at 8:45 because I want to sit down. I want to get a cup of coffee. I want to see the venue. I want to meet the other vendors that are coming on, because it's just not the event itself. It's just not the candidates are coming in. It's also making contacts with those other employers, the state reps that do show up and walk through, and then me providing a list to your organization saying, hey, if you have anybody that walks in, here's the roles we're hiring for. If they don't know what career path or career field they're looking for, send them my way and I'll see what I can do to assist them. You know, and the great thing about having partners like Christie on here is even if I don't have a role, then I can say, hey, I don't have a role in the state of this location that you're looking for, but why don't you go over and see such and such, and they'll be able to take and assist you. And we do that several times with several partners.
I love that. Just attacking the day, getting there early when I'm still putting up my signage. I love that. And then, Christie, how do you attack your job fairs? How do you get ready? I know we talked previously and had this conversation, and you mentioned something awesome that I won't ruin. I want you to tell the crowd listening why they should stop at Lineage anytime they come to our job fairs.
Absolutely. So when we get everything started, we kind of determine who's going to go. I can't go to every event, even though I'd absolutely love to. So we run prep calls with everyone and make sure that they know, what they're doing, what the day is going to look like, especially if we're going to go to one of the installations and I have a team that's never been there. I need to prep them for anything. This is what you could encounter going through a gate, and making sure that they're really comfortable with everything. So we run all those prep calls. I send open rec lists. So they have a list that morning of every requisition that I don't have an offer against throughout the entire country. Lineage currently sits in 37 states. We're also global. We're in 19 countries. So making sure that they really know exactly what's available and what we've got available for all the candidates. Once they get there, they get that table set up, they're ready to go. I always encourage them, same as Chris, wander around, talk to the other vendors, make sure you know who, not only who our competition is, but who we can send people over to. If I don't have something for you, for example, I'm not in Montana. So if there is a company that is, and that's where somebody's looking for something, let's get those candidates sent over there. Because the important thing is really just to make sure that we're hiring everyone. We do make sure that we send name tags with everybody's name on it so that we can identify them really easily. And especially for any of our veterans that attend with us, I include their military service. It gives an instant talking point of, oh, hey, you were in the Army? Me too. Give something that they can talk about right away.
That's something that I absolutely love about the representatives that show up for the organizations at our events, is that any and all veterans that they have that could attend as, in the recruiter position, they're there. So that way they can help facilitate those conversations. Because being a veteran myself, and then also having friends in my own neighborhood that have attended these events that are veterans, they're still nervous. I mean, this is, like a corpsman who deployed and was piecing together back Marines, but you put him in front of 80 civilian employers or civilian who could also be vets, and he's going internal. He's, shaking in his boots a little bit. So having, representatives there that were in, a military headspace at one point or other, whether that's a military spouse, dependent, veteran, their parents, having them there to facilitate those conversations and just bring that level of comfort there and familiarity makes a world of difference. So I can tell you both from ourselves, from RecruitMilitary, and from candidates' perspectives, thank you for doing that. And one thing I'd love to touch on a little bit further is, like, I always learn something from our lives. I always go into it being like, what am I going to learn this time? And it was something that I stated in our previous call, is that I have never looked at our events as a networking opportunity for the employers, also for the organizations, of course, for candidates, broaden your networking. but I've never thought of it as a networking pool for our clients, for our partners, for these organizations. And can you touch more on that, on how you all have both approached that that viewpoint? Because I absolutely love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll give two examples.
Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry, Christy, go ahead.
We're both too polite. We really just use it as opportunities to really network in the area. You know, like I mentioned, we're in 37 different states, so we want to make sure that we know who the people are around us, especially working with, you know, any of the disabled veterans organizations that are there, any temp agencies, you know, any of the works, so Virginia Works, you know, Florida Works, any of those programs that are there. We want to make sure that we're building those relationships, building relationships with the TAP centers that are in the area, and really just making sure that we're connecting with anyone that does something similar to us as well. You know, like Chris had mentioned, if I don't have a position that's going to fit with me, you know, if I've got someone that's looking for something that's more tech-based, I'm going to send them down to Sonepar because I just don't have that in every area. If you're looking for Michigan, I'm your girl. But if you're looking for something like that in Maine, that's not going to be us. So let's not limit what somebody is looking for. Let's make sure we're connecting them with the right people.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I had a message that came in this morning from a member of Veterans in Energy. And he said, hey, I have these 10 roles, 10 training slots in Houston that start up 20 September. And they're for 3 technicians. I said, hey, great, no problem. I said, send those over to me. Let me know the roles. I have an event going on here shortly. And I said, we'll message those out. And so we messaged them out. It's funny that a couple of people we messaged to, like, yep, not a problem. We're all on it. So that entire spider web, because we're all veterans inside my organization and our military spouses for the most part that are out here trying to bring these folks in. We know if we take and put that same positive energy out, that same positive energy is going to come back to us as well. And then I had Air Liquide at one of the events. It was funny. We're sitting there talking. He sent over a candidate. They were looking for a warehouse role. They didn't have the location. Sent the candidate over, and we were able to take and go to offer. So I see those things happen all the time. Even when I was going through the process, I was actually interviewing for Prudential. I was in their program. But at the same time, when I went to an event, that's whenever I met the Military Employee Resource Group from ADP. And that's when we started talking. So that's that networking piece. You just don't know who you're talking to or who that person knows inside their network that can build you out. But I think that's also important for the candidates that come to events. The profile needs to be on the RecruitMilitary app. If the profile is complete, the resume is there, we can do so much more for those individuals. You know, even as I'm looking at like a Baltimore event, I'm already in the database doing a circle looking for folks that want to work in the logistics field. And I think I messaged like 39 of those candidates last night for the event that we have coming up. Saying, we have, here's what see us and come talk to us. So they have to realize the employees actually are looking at those databases, using that information and leveraging that.
Thank you both so much for going into that, because I absolutely love that mindset where, you know, every single employer is there essentially. Yes, you're trying to get that star new hire, but you're also there to support the overarching mission, which is supporting the military community, finding meaningful career opportunities for them, and making that transition as seamless as possible and as stress-free as possible as well. So thank you for doing that and truly making a difference.
100%. I love it too. Again, as an event director, boots on the ground. The very first job seekers that open up the event, the ones that are there right before 11, we give like a little kickoff speech to kind of motivate them to go into space and kind of be confident and talk to as many employers as possible that day. That's the message we give them as well, Chris. I mean, talk to everyone. You don't know what you're missing out on. There could be companies that hire in your specific field that you would have no idea unless, you know, you approach them and have that kind of conversation. So I love that approach as well. And then the next thing I want to move on to is just speaking about RecruitMilitary and how you guys utilize us to accomplish your goals of hiring veterans and just everyone within the military community. I wanted to bring up the branding aspect of it and how exactly you guys use us. I guess we'll start with Christie. Social media, our digital magazine. How all do you use our programs that we have available to you guys?
I always make sure when we're headed to events that I'm tagging you guys, that I'm making sure that your event is listed so that it's easy to find as well. You know, I have friends that are veterans. I have friends of friends that are veterans. So I want to make sure that they have that information as well. So that every time that we're going to an event, that's listed, that's posted, so it's easily clickable and they can find exactly where they're headed to. We also utilize your different advertorials and stuff with opportunities there. We've done a couple different insights into people that have grown through our company. So we used a regional vice president that has grown through Lineage and showed his path from where he was serving in the military, he was in the Navy, through all the way up to where he is now. Most recently, we used a search and employ advertorial to highlight one of our female veterans. She started as a customer care rep and is now a sales manager here with us, and she's a Marine. So making sure that we're really highlighting the people that have those growth periods with us, because we really do offer that here. We want to make an investment in you. We have a mission to feed the world. That's huge. So we can't do that if we can't invest in our employees. So every person we want to bring on, we want to give that growth. And you guys have given us an opportunity and a platform to highlight that growth. We do utilize your VET 10 every time it comes up. So making sure that we're posting, hot jobs. I am always looking for maintenance technicians. It's hard to keep a refrigerated building cold. So making sure that we're always highlighting that. I'm hiring for that in most states that we have buildings at. So just really making sure that we have those hot jobs posted and really trying to just give a great platform through you guys.
That's awesome. And sometimes we just need to hear those success stories, right? Sometimes we just need to hear, yep, hey, here's a Marine that started, just transitioned out, and look at where they're at now. So I know some of us, or all of us, probably need that sometimes. Well, what about you, Chris? How do you utilize us in like the branding and advertorial space?
Our first real big push would have been the November-December issue 2023. Sonepar was the cover, and Megan Downing on the cover. Megan runs our facilities up in Auburn, Washington for North Coast. Cody is one of our counter sales, and both were in the National Guard and Reserve. So we had them in uniform on the cover because that also partners us with P3 Public Partnership, the Army Pays program, with Employer Support Guard with Washington State, and with Bruce Townsend out of DC that we go to every year, to show that we're just not talking about what we're doing. We're actually doing what we're saying what we're doing. Because we talk about platform is, we're military friendly, ready, we're career ready. So inside that article, I have Kevin Whitehead, who's my VP of supply chain for Sonepar. I have William, who is on our cyber team, to show the different career paths within the organization. Just not a cover of me on the photo talking about me. It's talking about all the great things that all these great service members are doing in our organization. And it's interesting because a lot of times you go out there and you hear about, hey, when General such and such retired, he had a hard time. I don't think so. I'm going to show you success E4s, E5 transition from the military that are now moving through and making waves inside the industry. And that's where my focus is. Then when you take a look at our other articles, we have one coming up for the September-October article for Irby. It shows service member that transitioned that's now. And then we'll have another advertisement in the November-December issue where we're going to gear that more towards our emerging leaders program that we have within Sonepar, and how that puts you in front of the industry, all the presence of our organizations, and that grows you inside our industry. Because a lot of people don't really understand when you say electrical distribution, and I say, hey, you can go from supply chain logistics to sales. As soon as you say sales, you see people like, oh, I don't want to do sales. And I'm like, time out. We're not the folks at your door. We're not ringing your doorbell. We have over 200,000 business-to-business customers already. So we want to bring you in. We want to merge you inside that industry. And so we have a few of our presidents that went to college. We have a few of our presidents that start off as drivers and warehouse roles that are now presidents of multi-billion-dollar organizations. So we have both sides we can take and show you how to grow within our industry. Whenever I take a look at what we do on social media with you guys, so whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on LinkedIn, and sometimes you guys probably get tired of me tagging stuff, but then I also see where DAV posts, and then now X, I'm pushing on to other social media platforms, because as I take and track and I see where those posts are actually hitting, I see the apply clicks actually coming through inside our system. So that does work. It's constant though. If you're just not there and you just want to do it every now and then, you're not going to see the return. You're not going to see the return on your investment. So you have to continually be out there. If you're not there, someone else will fill that void for you as a company.
That's fantastic. And we love when our clients, our partners, our employers utilize those brand awareness resources and tools that RecruitMilitary offers, because it goes hand in hand with what our audience, our candidates, our target audience is looking for, which is storytelling. They want to, push past just the surface level and hear the success stories, hear how you came, to be in the position that you came from. And we have a multitude of ways of doing that, whether it is our S&E online magazine that, has anywhere from, I think it's 25 to 27K viewers every issue, which we are, every 2 months is an issue for us, or our socials, which go over 300,000 likes and viewers and audience members from there. Whether it's LinkedIn posts, articles, we have so many ways of telling your stories, and we love to do it. So thank you guys for trusting us in doing that. We love to see it. And one thing I'd like to move on with, which I think is maybe one of our most important aspects, which we love, is the collaboration you have with your client representatives here at RecruitMilitary. Now, I'm not a client rep, but I hear amazing stories about them. And if you could both tell us a little bit about your history with and your experience with each of because you obviously both have your own client representative here with RecruitMilitary. And if you could dive into a bit more about what that relationship has been like, and how it's assisted you in performing to the best of your abilities within all the other resources and what you do with RecruitMilitary.
Absolutely. I work with Eric Kidwell. He is absolutely amazing. One of the biggest things that we do is we have all of our jobs, all of our open requisitions, job synced into your platform. So it's in your dashboard. It's available for view of anybody that uses RecruitMilitary. And one thing that we really want to make sure is that I'm actually seeing all those candidates that come in, because right now I'm a one-woman show. So there are definitely times where I'm overwhelmed and I'm trying to search in our own database and in yours, and I don't want to miss anyone. So we always want to really make sure that we're touching everyone. So one thing that Eric has done for me is pull those candidates that have been applying through RecruitMilitary, and he pulls them bi-weekly for me. So every 2 weeks, I get a full out report of every single candidate that's applied through RecruitMilitary, so I can make sure that I haven't missed anybody. We have new builds going up right now in Hazleton and in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and in Waddell, Arizona. So we want to make sure that we're really highlighting those. So I have sent Eric emails. Hey, I need an email campaign to go out. I'm searching for a maintenance tech. I need somebody that's done ammonia. I need a warehouse supervisor. So they're really specific roles that we're looking for. So he's been able to not only provide sourcing help for some of those things, but really making sure that those email campaigns are going out and they're hitting the right candidates, so that we're getting a big influx of exactly the type of candidate that we're looking for. Anytime I need anything, no matter what it is, I send him an email and he always comes back with yes and. It's never a no. It's never a I can't do that. It's a yes and let's do it this way. He gives me ideas that I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's fantastic. Let's do it both ways. So I really value the relationship that we've built.
We love to hear it. How about yourself, Chris?
So I'm going to name drop all my reps. So Amadeus Huff, Kenzie Duke, and now Debbie's covering down what Kenzie's out of the office. But as I take a look at our relationships, it's been interesting because I'm also a one-person show. And they know, like, whenever I'm on the road, whenever I'm traveling, we've learned patience. We've learned how to work our relationship. One of the great initiatives that Amadeus and I were able to work on this year is we went to the Phenom conference, and I was actually able to take and come back and say, hey, based off this, I want to build these recs out inside RecruitMilitary so we can take and generate and push candidate flow. And then as I looked at it, the same as Christie, I've been able to take and look over the last about 90 days at our increases to the actually military page inside our system. And I've actually seen about 0.5% of growth just over that time. And some people might be like, well, that's not a whole lot of growth. Inside the HR systems, it is when you take and see that. And then you realize, okay, now that I've grown this, I know how to take and sustain this. I know how to reach out to those candidates and be able to take and keep increasing our candidate flow. And then that means that we're going to take and hire more associates. The other side of it is, whenever I look at what Kenzie and Deb do for me, is when I take and say, hey, I have these associates going to these events. It's great because they're sending out reminders. Hey, have they requested base everything you guys are complete? So it is a great stuff for me a lot of time after the recovered down and that we're not falling into the cracks. And then let me highlight Amadeus here for 1 second is, hey, I know that you guys have this campaign. Hey, I know you're looking at this. Hey, I saw your social media post. What about this? How about we take and talk about this side of the business? Because he watches as Sonepar is doing acquisitions across the country. And, now that we've been working together for about 2 years, is okay, Chris is looking for this in like 3 to 6 months. So let's get this lined up with what he's doing and see if we can take and get ahead of it for him. So great example is he knows that we're going to the Sonepar Emerging Professionals Program is starting up here. So he reached out. He's like, hey, do you want to get that ad in? Do you want to take and do the push out for that now? It was a great reminder so I could work with our marketing system to get everything done in a timely manner over to RecruitMilitary. So phenomenal relationship.
Love it.
That's definitely something, especially knowing that you both have been with us and your organizations have been with us for, multiple years, if not over 2 years, and have been able to build those trustworthy relationships with, our client representatives, and you're able just to have that seamless back and forth, and it's able to, take you from point A to point B and really help you accomplish whatever that end mission is, whatever that goal is. We love to hear it. And again, thank you for trusting us in doing that.
Thank you for having representatives that come up with some amazing ideas. In the beginning, when we were doing virtual events, we weren't getting the type of engagement that we were from in-person ones. So I'd message, Deborah Goyne and Eric Kidwell. I was like, what am I doing wrong? We're not getting what I need. So we took a look at what we had posted and we revamped it and changed the wording and changed things around. And we definitely saw a huge increase over the last couple that we've done. And I'm excited to see how those change over the rest of the year.
We love to see it. We love to hear it. And Chris, as a treat to everyone watching currently, we'd love to introduce and maybe show a great success story, for Sonepar with the Jason Sapp video, if you're down for that, and also maybe wanting to do a little storytelling after, so we can roll that clip now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I grew up always wanting to be a soldier, and that's the route I ended up taking. I served from July of 2002 through August of 2007. It was a very difficult transition coming out and trying to figure out, what do I do with my life now? Because my goal was to retire 20 years, and instead I served 5 and ended up medically retired. I think part of the journey of being a disabled veteran and searching for work is just being honest about your disabilities and having that conversation with your potential, employers. We find ourselves in a job market where, companies are willing to work with people. As far as finding the RecruitMilitary job fair, at the time, wanted to change up my career altogether. I think the job fair was absolutely critical. I really appreciated, as far as the preparation for the job fair, that RecruitMilitary had to help me get things organized, like make sure my resume was up to date and just make sure I had everything ducks in a row for going to the job fair. And then throughout the entire job fair, everybody was super friendly. Everybody was very helpful. I was actually kind of surprised by how many employers were there looking to, obviously hire veterans and support the veteran and military community. When I found QED Electric Supply there at the job fair, it was just a no-brainer. Their recruiter was a retired command sergeant major in the Army, and so the instant connection that I had with him really drew me in. I literally sat down with the branch manager and had a 35-minute interview right there on site. I think by far this was probably the best career move I've ever made, just to be honest with you. I could not be happier with this transition for sure. They're just such great people here. I can't thank them enough for this opportunity. I love working with the people that I'm at QED, and so for me, it's been a long time since I found a company that just had such great people that had similar camaraderie that I had in the military, and so for me, that's pretty unique to find for sure.
There it is, the success story we all need to hear.
Best success story, one of the best I've heard. And Chris, if you want to give some more amazing, background into his story.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason started with us as an outside sales rep, and then he moved on to take and run 2 branches for us, and then just recently moved on to another company. And it was interesting because I reached out to him, and he's like, hey, I was like, Jason, I was like, I want the best in life for you, man. I was like, I appreciate you coming to QED, coming to Sonepar. trusting us, building out your career further with us. But that's the success story that we talk about as you go through the transition assistance program. Hey, continue to move on, continue to take and climb that ladder, because Jason in the future is going to be able to take and bring more people on board with him wherever he goes. And that's the success that you want. A lot of people don't realize, like military recruiting, I call it a coffee pot, because I can continually pour in water, but I run out of coffee beans. So I need all those. I need all those NDs. I need the recruit military. I need the local veteran employment reps at every single state, all those different organizations. If we're all not working together, and if we're not all synced, we're not going to be able to take and get this mission done. And I think our mission now, like we've seen the veteran unemployment numbers drop, but now we need to take and put our focus on military dependents and making sure that we're thriving. The entire community is thriving. There's enough there for everybody to take and push and see success for veterans. But it's making sure that we have meaningful employment. We have the growth strategy in place to make sure that our military community is also career ready, and those career opportunities continue to grow inside the organizations.
That's phenomenal. And veterans and all of the programs surrounding supporting veterans, we're the coffee beans you need. When I'm telling you, we bring the energy, we bring the work ethic, we bring the stamina, the mission accomplishment. We got it. And there's this one comment from a LinkedIn user. I have to read it. She said, "I love this. I was a military spouse, the mother of 2 military veterans, and I volunteer for Hire Heroes. There are so many troops, military families, and vets who would benefit from this. So thank you for sharing." So in case you weren't fully aware of the difference that you all are truly making as employers, as advocates for our military community, you truly are. And the difference really that you make in your interaction and engagement at our events and online and your social media platforms, your continuous support is greatly appreciated and seen. I promise it's making a difference. So thank you again so much for joining us today and telling your stories and your organization stories from both Lineage and Sonepar.
Gabby, can I comment on one of the comments?
Of course.
Can I comment on one of the comments? So I'm looking at one of the comments saying, hey, you have to be 100% honest about your disabilities. I think that's why it's so interesting that you're partnered with DAV, because as soon as you walk in the door, after you take and get the energy flowing and you take and have the initial talk through with RecruitMilitary at the front door, the first booth you always pass is DAV. And I watch a lot of, military veteran spouses walk right by that booth. That is an important booth for you to take and talk at when you're at those events, because they're going to update you. They're going to let you know what's going on inside your area, and they can connect you to local resources in that footprint. So even though that RecruitMilitary event is over, they're now able to take and connect you with those local resources. I'm a 100% disabled vet. It doesn't mean that's going to stop me. I have a great boss. I have a great boss at Sonepar, Charlene, that backstops me. And she knows there. Things are a little bit different, but she works with me. And she knows I put in the hours and I put in the extra time to make sure conversations that a lot of veterans, it chokes them up a little bit.
I'm there with you, Chris.
Yeah, but it's one of those times where you're going to know that organization knows who you are. They know who you are. They see the whole person, and you're going to know when things feel right. So for us, it's great to me when I see how many employee resource groups we have. Selena, our, diversity director, does an amazing job. We just stood up ADAPT that looks after, needs, which just happened to co-align with when the PACT Act came out. And then DAV actually came on board and actually talked to our organization because of us being with RecruitMilitary. We had already formed that connection, and we were able to take and bring them in. So to me, it's great. I think just the connections, just the resources that are at the events is what keeps drawing us back.
And employers like you is what keeps us going as well, Chris. It's that unrelenting passion that you guys share, and it's literally like oozing from you, and we can feel it, and our audience can feel it. So thank you. As I can't say enough, thank you.
Absolutely, and I look forward to seeing. I know, Christy, you show up when someone can't cover now, but I look forward to seeing you two in person at the next one that I'm doing. So
absolutely, it's one of my favorite things to do. I love connecting with the community. I love being able to share how Lineage wants to bring people in and how we move forward with that.
Absolutely.
I won't be in Dallas. We'll have a great team from Crawford Electric there, but you can come see me in Baltimore. I'll sign autograph. for you.
Passing out stickers with Chris's face on it. Well, we got it. We got the swag, y'all.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I have a
both,
stack
Chris
of
and
military employee resource group stickers. I'll hand them out there.
Yes, we'll take it. Well, thank you both, Chris and Christie, for joining us today for honestly, probably my favorite episode of Recruit Military Live. The conversation was amazing, and our audience seems to agree. So thank you so much again for joining us, and can't wait to see and hear all the amazing things that both Lineage and Sonepar accomplish within the veteran community. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for today's episode of Recruit Military Live, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.